Yes! We're back. Welcome to another episode of the Music Guy Podcast, the podcast about a couple of guys working in the music industry here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, a suburb thereof called Markham, Ontario, Canada. My name is Al Rowe. I'm a music guy. I play guitar, I sing, I write songs, I make records. To my right, and also your right, if you're watching our live YouTube stream, my co-host Michael Hebbs.
Yay! I just want to see my clap.
We finally got the streaming thing figured out.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to join us ever for a live show, Music Guy Podcast on YouTube, search us up, youtube.com/Music Guy Podcast. And come watch our live stream. We tend to record our episodes on Tuesday nights. That's sort of the schedule we've sort of fallen into, but also potentially Wednesday mornings as well. And also you can find some pre-recorded videos and stuff there, including the 10-step mix video series that I made, where I mix raw tracks of my song called Waiting on the Right Time, take you through 10 bite-sized videos with each step of my mixing process. And you know what, I used it myself.
Yeah, you did. That was funny when you told me about that.
Yeah. So I actually had to mix a track this week for an artist named Dana Reed, who me and the fellas from The Agenda are producing. And I pulled up her session and I was kind of like, what do I do first? Like, what? It's been so long since I mixed a track. And so I just went back to the video series. I pulled up the Pro Tools session, imported the data from it, imported it as a template, and had all the plugin settings in there, and sort of refreshed my own memory about the process that I had laid out. And man, I got that mix done in I had everything done except writing the vocals in, I swear, under an hour.
Well, so the crazy thing about it too is when you think about it, well, when I did it, is I expected to finish the process and be like, oh yeah, but I'm gonna do all my normal bullshit, and I'm gonna, mess around and spend time doing these things, and I didn't need to. You know what I mean?
Right.
It shocked me. Well, it's the same as when you have an assignment that's due in 2 hours. You just get down to business, and then when you finish that assignment, you get an 80. When it comes back, you're like, what?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because you just don't have the time to procrastinate and mess around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when there's just a clear path of okay, well, once this is done, I'm moving on to this. And once this is done, I'm moving on to this. One of the things that really, I think has been a breakthrough for me in terms of workflow is starting with the vocal almost right away.
You didn't buy a piece of gear that just made your mixes better, Al?
Well, I've spent a lot of money on gear that's supposed to make my mixes better, but I think
we now have 8 channels of inputs.
Yeah, that's right. I got a new interface here that we're coming. You're hearing us through the Focusrite Scarlett 18i20, which is a pretty budget piece of gear that I got half price on Boxing Day. So
it's a very budget piece of gear.
Yeah, but it's working. But yeah, starting with the vocal first really changed a lot of things for me. And I used to always start with the kick drum, start with the drum mix, build on top of that. And I think a lot of people work that way. And for whatever reason, I sort of decided to flip it on its head and start with a rough balance, no plugins on. And it's when you're listening to a rough board mix, I asked myself, what's the first thing what's the first thing I actually want to change?
Sure.
Rather than just immediately flying over the kick drum, soloing it, start messing around. What's the first thing that actually needs to be changed? Of course, it's the vocal. Right?
Sure.
It's never loud enough. The volume's all over the place. The dynamics, the EQ, everything about the vocal you want to change. And as soon as you get it sounding good, all of a sudden the track really feels like it's starting to come together.
Do you think because you're a vocalist, you're more sensitive to the sounds of the vocals? I think I'm more sensitive to the sounds of guitars because I'm a guitarist and I'm always listening to guitar tones and I'm always searching for that,
Right.
When it comes to stuff like bass, sometimes I'm like, ooh, I haven't thought about this in a while.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, if that is true, I would say an advantage because
Yes.
the vocals are the most important part of the mix.
Nobody listens to that pop song. It's like, wow, that guitar.
Mhm.
Just because there's no guitar in the first place.
Um,
Womp, womp, womp.
yeah, like guitar tone. The things that I focus on the most are the drum tones and I guess vocals. Yeah. Guitar tone is like always a mystery to me. Bass. I think I've finally started to have an idea of
Yeah,
what
the
bass
bass
is supposed to
sounded
be
great.
like.
On Waiting on the Right Time.
But
Is
I
that
mean,
Mark's Ricky on the track?
I couldn't tell you. It's
Yeah.
been so long.
It's got like I mean, if you want to hear a good bass tone, I don't want to be too stinky about this. You could get the isolated track on the video.
Yeah,
know what
you
I mean?
can. Yeah, you can
'Cause
download it.
Every time I've recorded a bass, it's been like, I'm gonna have to do a bunch to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I know Mark always goes direct in,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I have not seen Mark record through a bass amp in some time.
Yeah.
Um,
I wonder under what context that would be a thing. I feel like just for Bleed's sake too, if you're gonna do your
Yeah.
like live off the floor nonsense that you do that saves a bunch of money and is really smart, and I shouldn't call it nonsense.
Yeah.
Then Bleed would be an issue.
Bleed would be a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you have a studio with a really great bass amp and a really great microphone for it, and a
Sure.
person who knows how to mic it up and record it properly, then you would want to go through that. But
And the time and the budget for that too.
yeah, the time, the budget, and having a space where it can be contained, where the bleed isn't going to be an issue, and it's always just so much easier to go direct. And man, like I've had a lot of sessions, and I've heard a lot of like, you know, whatever high level mixers say, that, you know, on videos, not in person, because I don't know anybody like
You
this.
don't hang out with Jets?
No, but I've heard them
Andy?
say it's like, here's the DI bass, here's the amp. Cool. I'm just gonna mute the amp and work on the
Yeah,
DI.
yeah,
It's like, man, they
yeah.
probably spent so much time dialing that amp in.
Yeah,
They were probably
yeah.
so fired up about it. They probably like the bass player probably like loaded the 8x10 into his car by himself, drove to the
The
sessions.
Well, the funny thing is too, you get like with drums the same thing. It's like, oh man, I got this Gretsch kit from the '60s, and then it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of that, and we're just gonna trigger a bunch of samples.
Yeah,
You know what I
well,
mean? But not
that's-
to that extent.
That's not
you know?
exactly
Yeah.
the same. Actually, though, on this session, I did play through my Helix instead of micing up an amp.
Really?
This was maybe my first recording session where I played through the Helix. I was generally happy with it. I thought it was close to. I thought it was very, very comparable to the amp tone that Will got.
Well, so you know what the crazy thing is, Will was actually saying he has a Helix now.
Mhm,
It's spreading.
mhm.
He was saying
The
he
Helix
might consider,
virus.
yeah, he might consider screw the coronavirus. The Helix virus is gonna get us.
Sorry, that was insensitive.
I was actually talking against the coronavirus, so that was very sensitive.
Right.
Don't like it, that coronavirus. But he was saying he might get rid of some of his pedals because he just doesn't need them. He has like Strymon effects and all of those fancy gizmos.
Yeah, I mean, since I switched to direct guitar, like I haven't used my amp in
Yeah.
well over a year.
Well, for
I've
those of
sold
you
off
that-
some pedals.
that don't know, the Helix is a one-stop sort of shop thing. For,
Yes,
like,
yeah.
vocalists that don't play guitar. It's like instead of having all these little boxes, you have one box that does a bunch of things, and usually that idea doesn't really work out so well. But the Helix is like crushing it.
Yeah, it's an amp and a pedal board
Yes,
all in one.
instead of just replacing pedals, it's decided to replace an amp as
Yeah.
well too.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's great. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't see myself unless it was dependent on the gig. Like if I was playing for an artist, they're like, if you don't play through an amp, I'm not gonna hire you.
Yeah.
Then yeah, I would play through an amp, sure. But you know, or maybe I don't want the gig that badly.
Yeah.
I would carry my amp to it, but
I feel like if you were playing for like the Who, they would
Yeah.
have
right, they
any
don't,
of that Helix.
definitely don't
business.
believe in that. But yeah, I mean, otherwise I can't see myself. And I've never had any complaints. Played
Yeah.
done direct guitar through wedges, through
Nobody's talking
in-ears.
behind your back.
Well, you
No,
can
no.
never. Everybody is always talking behind everybody's back.
I'm the worst with gossip, man. I
That's,
gotta stop. I talk shit all the
That's
time.
something. If you stop and think about it for too long, it'll drive you nuts. Like,
What? Oh, I don't
Like
worry
what?
about what people say about me. I worry about what I say about people. I know
Well,
what I
that's-
say about people.
that's good. That's a
dangerous.
well, that's not good. But the fact you're aware of it is good.
Talk about you all.
But then think about to think about what people are saying about me when I'm not around. That's a scary thing. Anyways, that was a very long sort of advertisement and then tangent. Check out our YouTube page. Check out our Facebook page. Check out our Twitter. All under the same handle. Music Guy Podcast. You can contact us at musicguypodcast@gmail.com. Or check out our website, musicguypodcast.com.
Dope.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good.
I'm very proud of it.
We made it ourselves.
Yeah, we did.
So
You
yeah,
should just start charging people money to make websites.
now we're web designers.
Yeah, web developers.
There you go.
We didn't make it on Wix though. That's impressive.
No, we didn't. We made it on what, WordPress?
WordPress.
Yeah. So let's dive into today's show. I know I always say this, but I kind of want this to not be a super long show because I got to go to bed because I got to get up for a rehearsal for a gig tomorrow, and we want
a bunch of stuff too. I'm right to the grindstone right now.
Yeah. I'm super busy with stuff. The year is starting to get busy. So I got a pretty sweet gig. We talked about it a few episodes back that I had an audition that I was going for. I ended up getting the gig, which is amazing. It's a gig with a Canadian artist named Amanda Marshall, who had some pretty big hits on radio back in the day, and still touring. Amazing singer, and I'm very, very grateful and excited for the opportunity to play in her band. And your brother Will also plays in that band, so that's pretty sweet. So I've been prepping for this gig, and we thought it'd be a cool show topic. So like tomorrow's the first of 5 full day rehearsals for one show. So I think
we're serious about their product.
So right off the bat, it's different from most gigs that I think you or I are used to. Typically there'll be no rehearsal or one rehearsal for one show, or even for several shows, just because getting different side guys together and paying people for their time is often prohibitive for artists that are sort of just on the cusp of breaking through or just getting started. It's not really feasible economically for them to have a week of full day rehearsals. But in this case, we do, and so the expectations are like a little bit different in certain ways for this gig than they would be for, say, like a bar gig or like a pickup gig at a bar.
And I feel like if you took the same steps you were taking for this gig for a bar gig, it would be, I would say, almost detrimental, because I've kind of taken that approach before, and it's not worked out in my favor.
Yeah, I remember you saying maybe on episode 1 of this podcast, actually, that you were treating sort of every gig as though it was like a note for note, play or die kind of.
Well, and here's the problem that came up a lot as well too, is on a cover gig, sometimes people just change things or forget things or don't play like the record, and I would be like I would obviously stop playing, but I would be like, oh, they didn't play it like the record, and I wasn't like listening as much. You know what I mean? It's like I wasn't used to like heads up hockey, just like okay, it's 1-4-5, and we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Couldn't have done that. Yeah,
bar gigs can be a lot more jammy.
Yeah,
and you got to be prepared for the unknown. And when singers or bands have been playing a cover song for 10 years, it slowly sort of diverts from the original record. They start to do it their own way.
Well, especially if you ask them, oh, do you play this like the record? They're like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like, and then they don't. They skip the bridge, or they add more soloing or whatever. So you always got to kind of be prepared. So when you're be prepared in a different way, where when you're on a bar gig, it's like,
those are my bones.
It's like, I think that triggered the compressor.
Yeah.
You got to be prepared in a different way, in a sense that you're prepared for the unexpected.
Yeah.
So you were saying to me before we started recording, it's kind of like if you're preparing for a cover gig or a bar gig, you sort of learn on like a need to know kind of basis.
Yes.
Like if you got a 40 song set to learn, you're gonna like the main thing you need to know is like the chord progressions for the songs, and maybe like the one, if you're a lead guitar player, the lick, one sort of lick or head or whatever you want to call it, that riff off the top of the song.
But you know what
Um,
pisses me off too is I found this with when people were recently out of school, and I was guilty of this for like the very first few gigs I got out of school. So they learn the chord progressions, but they take no mind of like what type of thing you were doing with them. It's like if you're playing like a song, you can't just be like, well, I'll just play C, F, and G, and like I'll write down the chord progressions. But like are you playing power chords? Are you doing like a rock thing? Are you doing the finger picking thing? There was no mind of that. It was just like I wrote down the chords, so I got this.
I see.
You know what I mean?
So you also want to have an idea of, the vibe of the song.
Yeah.
So what I've done on occasion is, and this could maybe come across as offensive, but it's not meant to be. It's just for my own head. But like if I'm writing out a cheat sheet, which I guess we can kind of get into as well for bar gig stuff, where so say it's like, your song called, Girl, You Drive Me Crazy. The chord progression is 1-5-4-5.
Yeah.
So I'll write down, key of A, 1-5-4-5, and then if there's a bridge, I'll write B for bridge, and then 6-5-4. Okay, cool. So now I know the different sections of the song. If I'm heads up, I can sort of see when we're going to different places and stuff like that. But like what you're saying for like the groove or something, I've written down like in brackets like Cruise or Our Song by Taylor Swift, or like a song that I know how the strum pattern of it goes or how the feel of it is or roughly what the tempo is. It's like similar enough that in my head it's like, okay, it's that one that sounds kind of like this song. And that's not meant to be a slag on the
but
songwriter.
They do that in recording studios as well too.
Oh yeah.
They tell them, oh no, it's more like superstition. I don't know. Superstition's the right term.
Totally. No, yeah, that absolutely, yeah.
Play more like Stevie.
Yeah.
Be more blind. And talented.
So that's a good way that I've found to just remind myself what I'm doing. Because there's so many songs, and if you're on a country gig, they're all pretty much G, C, and D in some order on some capo position, so it's easy to get them all confused.
And I've known guys that they've been great players, but it's like, here comes solo time, and then like rhythm guitar, it's like they're barely there. They're like playing the chords.
Right.
But you could hire a computer to do what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you wouldn't even have to hire them. You don't even have to pay them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like bass players. You just put it on tracks. And
hey, there you go. Sam Hunt next week.
We'll have to have you on the show, Sam.
Sammy.
In your Roland sample pad or whatever. Remember that Instagram account? Sam Hunt's bass player?
Yes, yeah.
It was just a picture of like a Roland sample pad or something with like captions like me hanging out with this person. Some guy standing next to a Roland pad. So funny. So that's a little bit of like a window into how you would maybe prepare for a bar gig. But you're right, like rhythm stuff is super important. Especially
like 80%
when
of the job. Oh, it's 90.
Yeah, especially when there is that gray area, a little bit of uncertainty about
what's my job,
what is my role. Everybody knows what the chords are, everybody kind of knows how the song goes, but if if nobody's laying down some foundational stuff, it's going to sound really weird. So
but if somebody already is laying down foundational stuff, it's like, well, what do you do?
Yeah, well then you can get out of their way. And I mean, great lead guitar players know how to voice stuff over top, but I feel like in a bar situation you kind of want to lean towards playing a little bit more as opposed to less, which is kind of counterintuitive to I think how most quote unquote like mature musicians approach things. It's like playing less is typically what you want to do in like a studio situation or whatever, but I think if you're on a bar gig and you're just going for it,
giving her.
Just it's better. Louder is better. More is better, I think. So anyhow, but this gig that I'm preparing for is a lot different from that. This is like a note for note kind of situation, and it's expected of me that I know all the songs before rehearsal number 1. Even though we have 5 full day rehearsals, it's not so we can learn the tunes. It's so that we can work on transitions, pace the show,
and get like the feel.
And
also for him to point out things that you may have overlooked.
Totally.
Because that's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like, oh, there's a fill there, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
Um,
So it'll be just to tighten up little screws like that, and also, um, I mean, I think maybe almost the number one thing is to feel like when we hit the stage for the actual show, we've already been on tour for 5 days or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So then we're already in that pocket.
Well, because so one of the things that we were talking about before too, I feel like for a bar gig, you're saying, yeah, you learn what you need to know,
Hmm.
and like what the artist is going to be like, or the person you're playing with is going to be like. That was great, man. Anything beyond that, where it's like, oh yeah, I would notice that that wasn't there because I knew the song really, really well. It's like learn that at your discretion if you have time and want to spend the effort
This is for a bar gig.
for a bargain.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then for something like this, there is nothing that is on your instrument that you shouldn't know because it's such a high detail. You know what
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
which is great.
Hmm.
Especially because the money they obviously they're a well off band because they've proven themselves. They have the money and the time and they want to put it into making the band the bomb.
As good as
You know?
possible. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's a good position
Yeah.
to be in.
Yeah, but it's definitely like, for everybody involved, I think it's like tomorrow we show up and we could play the show that day.
Yes. And if
You
you
know.
went into it with the bar band attitude, like, oh no, I learned the licks and I learned some of the fills, even if you went, 25% above bar band sort of detail,
Yeah,
that's not
Not-
gonna
not
cut
good
it. You
enough.
would get
Yeah.
fired like,
yeah,
Um,
I think that would not be good enough. Yeah,
yeah, it would be that
yeah.
bad time.
So that's what I've been prepping for, and I just wrote down like a few techniques that I've been using that sort of help me, because the hardest thing for me with this particular show is just the memorization.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I could probably bring a couple of charts or cheat sheets to the
Yes.
rehearsal,
This is like talk about.
and I don't think anybody would be offended by that. But my goal is to not do that.
You want to look good. You want like I think by not bringing charts, if you can manage it,
Mhm.
it gets across like a level of like I am taking this very seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I just find that if I'm reading charts on rehearsal, I'm just learning to read charts. I'm not learning to, like, it doesn't help me memorize.
Sure, actually, that's fair. That is
Yeah.
very fair. Yeah. So you'd rather almost run the risk of like, oh, I might make a mistake here or there in the rehearsal, but it's
Yeah, I would prefer to make mistakes in the rehearsal,
Yes.
but then those mistakes I'm gonna internalize and correct faster
Yeah.
when it's like when there's nothing in front of me to distract me that I'm reading. I'm like,
Wise.
oh, I'll get that next time because it's written right there. I won't miss that next time, But it's like if it's not written and you miss it, then you hear that it's wrong. Your ear sort of is searching for the right chord or the right note or whatever,
Yeah.
or whatever you have to sort of correct on the fly, and that has a much longer
Burns
lasting.
it into your mind.
Yeah, for me, that's how that's always
That's
worked.
smart. I like that.
I prefer, if possible, to never write any charts, even when I'm first learning a song.
Really?
Yeah, I don't want to have any charts.
That
at
is
all.
interesting. Let's talk about what your method is for learning songs, because I would like to hear it. Because mine is a thing. I have a method. Michael Hebbs approved. I start a course.
I mean, it
100
depends
bucks.
on the material
Yeah.
and what I have to do. I mean, there's one song in particular that we're doing called Last Exit to Eden, which has like a pretty difficult finger picking part, or was difficult for me. So I mean, I just had to start with a metronome at like half speed and just slowly work my way up, and it just takes forever, and you just grind through it, and eventually you get comfortable with it.
Yeah, so it's not a memorization thing; it's a physical.
That's a muscle memory thing. I mean, everything is muscle memory, but certain parts, it's just like there's nothing you can do. You just have to.
Well, it's like a muscle memory, but also it's too like you wouldn't be able to do it if it was just like, oh, could you try a thing like this? It's like, well, give me some time to prepare.
Yeah, no, I definitely needed the time to prep that one. So if it's if that's the speed of the song, I mean, I probably started at like
Do you ever do that with singing and playing? I find I do that a lot.
I don't.
You're probably really
because
good at it now,
I've just done it for so long that there's been a couple times.
Yeah.
Actually, recently I was learning for Lizzie Lyons' show. I was learning "The Feels" by Maren Morris. You heard that one? It's a nice one.
You guys did that? I missed it. I came
Yeah, you did miss it.
back.
Anyways,
Such good stuff.
if you listen to the guitar part and the backup vocals and the chorus, there's some pat your head, rub your tummy situations going on. So I did actually slow that one
Thanks,
down,
Lizzie.
but generally,
Making my roommate work real hard.
I don't worry about that. But technical stuff on guitar is always tricky for me. So yeah, it's starting super slow at the metronome, and really, and I tell this to my students all the time. It's like it's not about how fast you can play it; it's about how accurately you can play it.
Sure.
So
Sure.
if the song is at 120, but I'm starting learning the pattern at 60, it's like I don't want to rush that metronome. I don't want to play faster than the metronome. I want to play exactly right on until I get comfortable, and then bump it up by 5 or 10. Get to that point again, bump it up by 5 or 10. Because by actually doing something slowly, that helps develop that muscle memory.
Also, too, I guess that's how you sound so smooth doing things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, I don't sound smooth doing anything, but in general,
doing like
people don't.
Yeah, doing like you
can imagine
simple things that are quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
it doesn't sound
like a student where I have some students who are like, oh, I learned this song that's really tough, and I'm like, let's like hear it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's like pretty good. Sarcasm is but it's like, oh, we're gonna spend the lesson working on this, and like that's what I'm trying to teach them. It's like you slow it down,
get it, because you can hear when something's kind of haphazardly played really fast and when somebody's really figured it out. So
that's cool. So okay, so
that's for like a super technical but for the most part this show I'm playing acoustic the whole time, and it's mostly strumming.
Our wheelhouse.
It's really like couldn't ask for a better situation for me. I mean, I've been strumming acoustic for 20 years or whatever, so I love it. But this, I mean,
do you want some more of it?
This is, I do. Yeah, give it all to me. So one of the tricky things is just memorization.
That's my biggest
and
horrible memory.
So I mean, I think exercising that by not relying on charts is pretty important. It's frustrating because I want to get it right the first time, and obviously, just I kind of phrased it to him. I was teaching one of my students. I was just like, you just keep making mistakes until you run out of mistakes that you could possibly make. It's like I can't possibly screw anything up anymore because I've made every single mistake.
That's some garbage on the back of my neck. I don't know where it came from. Have we sprung the leak here?
Crawl out of a dumpster or something?
Yeah, I mean, I do spend my time in those locales. So you don't use any charts.
Yeah.
And then the whole idea is you just fuck it up until you can't.
Until you can't anymore. Yeah.
That's cool. That's kind of like what I do with my life.
Yeah, I mean, because your brain's going to take, songs in certain directions based on what you're used to from all the songs you've learned in the past, right? So
that's cool. I should try that.
So, if I have a certain ingrained muscle memory, it's like every time I go G, C, the next chord I want to play is D, because that's just how it goes. Yeah. And then, so I might do that a few times, but really the chord I'm supposed to play is F or A minor or something. It's just like, okay, I'm going to do that a few times until I teach myself not to. And then, you just eventually learn it the right way. But there's a few like different, there's one sort of main way that I think about things, and this was first I have first heard of this concept on, I think it was a podcast called I'd Hit That. You heard that podcast?
Sounds sexy.
It's it's a guy who interviews drummers, like super
less
high level drummers, less sexy. So Aaron Sterling was on his show. Aaron Sterling, super big time studio drummer, tours with John Mayer, all this stuff.
Never heard of John Mayer.
So anyways, he I don't know exactly how he explained it, but the way that the way I understood it and the way that I sort of manifested for myself is it's like red light, yellow light, green light, or green light, yellow light, red light, or whatever order you want to think of it in. So bear with me. So
does advanced green make it into the occasion?
No, I don't think so. I mean, maybe if you're playing Boys Around Here, that's an advanced green. You never.
I don't understand this.
So okay, so you'll get what I'm saying. So so if you've played a lot of music
Yes.
You have certain expectations about what's going to happen in a song.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fair.
so let's look at the country genre.
Yeah.
This gig that I'm doing is not a country gig per se, but there is some of that in there. But let's look at a country genre, for example. We already talked about how a lot of the songs are just G, C, and D.
Yep.
With a capo on a different spot on the guitar or whatever, in some order, right? So, and songs have a certain structure to them, right?
Mhm.
Verse, pre-chorus, sometimes
True.
chorus, re-intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, / solo, chorus, out, whatever, right? So, if you have an idea of how the form of the song goes, and you know what the chord progressions are for those forms, and they're not difficult. So let's say the verse is like 1 and 4.
Yeah.
The chorus goes to 5.
It's like write a little song for me right now.
And then
get the acoustic guitar.
Maybe there's no bridge, maybe it's just verse and chorus. It's like, so that song, as I'm playing through, in my mind, it's green light. As in, I know I don't need to worry about this.
Okay.
I'm gonna do the right thing because I know what's gonna happen. Okay.
I like that. Yeah.
And then it's like, so just to reiterate that in case that wasn't clear, it's like, so let's say the verse is like G and C. We're just going G, C, G, whatever. And then the chorus is going to go to a D, and then maybe back to a C, and then we're back to G and C for the foreseeable future. And then when it goes back to the chorus, I mean, D, there's no like.
You could autopilot, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no crazy, unexpected moment that's going to happen. Okay, so that's green light. So that's what I'm saying. If you're playing Boys Around Here, the whole song is G and C.
It's a great song.
So yeah, but that's advanced green, baby. You don't.
Green.
All you have to do is react to the dynamics in the band.
What
right?
if the lights are down and there's a police officer right in the middle of that intersection, just telling you to stop?
I'm going, baby.
You're going. You're going.
Yeah.
Okay. He's gonna get your plates.
Rock and roll.
Anyway, sorry.
But so, and then I guess say there's like something a little bit off. We're not going totally off the rails, but one chord, let's say like the last pass through the chorus or something goes to an E minor instead of a G.
That always gets me.
Yeah.
When it's the same, but just one little teeny thing is different. Oof.
So that's a yellow light.
Don't like that.
That's a yellow light. It's like we need to think about this part because there is one little thing that's different, or there's two little things that's different. And then there's red light where it's like there's something crazy is about to happen. And I need to be ready for that. And so I don't know if this makes any sense to anybody who's listening, but
I feel
it's kind of just like it's like a little internal sort of state of mind thing where it's like, am I good, or is there a part coming up that I need to focus on remembering how it goes? It's not even that. It's like I remember how everything goes. It's just what is my expectation as I'm playing through this song? Are things going to stay the same, or is something weird going to happen, and I need to be ready for that?
I like all this artsy language.
Yeah,
I'm going to go through how Michael Hebbs does.
Okay, hit me.
Here, okay.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird. It's changed from time to time. This is what I've arrived on. I feel like because my hands were always fucked up. I was always trying to limit how much I was playing guitar. Huge mistake when you're writing songs.
Yeah,
I'd be like, I'll just mentally learn them really hard. Doesn't work. Don't do that.
That helps.
But see, if you like, I had a gig where my hand was really sore because I had a few too many drinks.
Yeah.
Fell on my hand. This makes me sound very unstable.
Yeah.
I promise I'm a very stable character. I'm reliable. You can hire me.
I know.
I won't get drunk and fall on my hands, but I did this one time. And so literally for the gig, it was a bar gig. I couldn't play guitar until the show.
Okay.
I played obviously that day just to make sure, but I like learned them mentally very hard. But my method is always I start mentally. And the way that I start mentally is I will download all the songs to my phone, and I'll just listen to the playlist in the car. So when I'm in the car, I'm either listening to a podcast or I'm listening to music that I'm going to learn.
Okay.
Which sucks because I never listen to music that's just like, hey.
Yeah, I want to listen to this for fun.
I don't like fun.
No.
But so I'll do that. And then that actually helps a lot because if you from step one, like I got these songs, I'm going to start learning them, that's bad. That's a bad time for me.
Okay.
It seems to take a lot longer to learn a song. If you haven't it's like, oh yeah, I know where the song goes. I can feel where it's going.
Right.
It's just, I don't know what that note is, but I know where it's supposed to go in my head.
Because you've listened to it sort of passively.
Yes.
And internalized it that way.
But yeah, so I start with that. Then the next step, I do it mentally. I don't think you have to do it mentally. So I'll just sort of listen to the song and write down notes and stuff like that. And it depends on, once again, resolution. That was a big thing you were talking about. If it's like, yeah, something like this Amanda Marshall thing, then I'll like write out literally everything that's going to happen. Everything that's going to happen that I think pertains to what I need to do. And that's just so I can like get like almost like a roadmap for like, okay, like where am I going? Because a lot of times if I'm doing like an artist gig, if I really want to, you know, nail it home, because I play a lot of lead stuff, it's like, well, you know, they don't have a lead guitar player on this gig or something like that. I'll play rhythm and I'll have to pop to the fiddle that the fiddle's doing or something like that. Now this is like really high resolution, like as much as you can do, you know, to learn stuff. And I'll write all of that out, because if I don't have a good memory. I have a tendency to also, I'll get like stressed out in the middle of a song if I just don't know like what I need to do. And then as soon as I can, I'll get away from that chart. But just the initial base plan is like everything's written out, what I need to play, you know, what the chords are. And then, you know, I'll do that. And as soon as I can, I get away from the chart. And as soon as I can, I play guitar. So essentially I'm writing the chart just more as a mental, like getting everything to get it together in my head. So I don't have that thing that's like, oh, I always forget that there's that thing. Or, you know, I listen to it afterwards and I'm like, oh shoot, there's that thing. So when I've learned a song, it's really hard to be like, oh, I got to remember to put that thing in there. You know what I mean?
Right. Like once you've sort of learned it a certain way, it's hard to change. That makes sense. My brain
is my weakness though. Like my memory is horrible.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, other than, I don't have a lot of suggestions for you other than I think memory is a muscular thing where if you exercise it, it will get better. If you write everything, I mean, I think writing things down is super important for everyday life, just so you don't forget to do sort of, you know, tasks and stuff like that you know, like I find when I write a list of things I have, like keep a list of things I have to get done. It's like, I'll get them done because it's harder for me to put that off in my mind when it's right in front of me. But I think for learning songs, for me anyways, I always feel like I do a way better job if I never write any charts.
And you learn them fast too. You're a fast learner. I'll give you that. Like
I suppose. I mean, I also see it, but I don't play lead that much. So I think it might be different for lead. I mean, I played lead on the David James stuff, and I never wrote any charts for that either. So, I mean, I don't know.
There's two approaches.
There's definitely, I mean, lots of people use charts. I'm not saying don't use charts.
Well, so also another thing too. Charts as a learning tool or charts on a gig, that's a different thing as well too.
Yeah, I mean,
depends on the gig.
That comes back to the. I would only find it acceptable to use charts on an actual bar gig. I think it'd be
or wedding.
Weddings. For sure.
Sorry, people out there getting married. But I'm not going to memorize that one weird Athletics tune that I'm never going to play again.
Yeah, especially the special requests. You better believe.
You best believe.
Better believe.
What do you do for charts? You put them on your stand?
Yeah, I just got, Mark just got me into this app called OneChart.
Yeah, hold on that baby.
Oh man,
the Nashville thing, and you put little music notes in it.
It's so good. It's like I'm so glad I spent $20 on it. Yeah, it's sick. I mean, I have an iPad. I have an iPad Clip. It's actually right here.
I actually use the same one.
It's called the iClip. With a K.
We aren't affiliated with them, but if they'd like to affiliate with us,
sponsored.
We need money.
And let's see. It kind of if anybody's watching on YouTube, you can see this thing here. Anyways, it's extendable. It kind of spreads out, which is nice because I like to keep my iPad in an OtterBox case so that it can never get broken.
Safe.
So the ones that are like exactly fitted to an iPad don't work for me. So
so you do the iClip. I know people that do a similar clip with their phones, and the phones just literally have like little things on it, like cords.
Yeah.
I feel like that works for low resolution stuff, which I mean all cover gigs are like lower resolution.
Yeah.
You know what I saw a guy do, and I'm gonna start doing on certain gigs that are bar like. I don't want to say it's just bar gigs, but so the idea is he has a foot pedal that flips his pages for him, which is just a good idea.
Yeah.
Anyways, got mine for like $10 on Amazon. You can actually use it for your computer too. And I was using it for my shift key.
When
I was typing out charts, I don't know, just saved my hands. Once I get my hands.
Sure.
but he puts it on really big font, and he puts it leaned up against the monitor,
Mhm.
and it's right there on the ground, so no one can see it except for the people on stage.
Right.
Now, obviously, if you're really going for it, like you can't. I don't think they would appreciate it. Well, they wouldn't let you probably use charts on stage.
I just, I mean, I just wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't do that.
Just for me, I don't.
It's not a good idea.
I just don't perform as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to. I think this was maybe the first year I used charts. Maybe the second year I used any charts at all on the Magna gig.
Yeah.
And we talked about the Magna gig in the past, but it's basically it's like an American Idol style show where there's 10 different contestants each doing 2 songs, and you're kind of learning them.
You don't learn the songs before too. It's not like these.
No, you learn them in rehearsal, and everything's happening really fast. And but I was one of the only people not using charts for the longest time, just
literally
because I felt like I was gonna do a worse job if I used charts. And then I did end up using charts this year because it was just like there was no way. There were some songs there was just no way I was gonna remember.
I don't have the. Maybe I do, but I don't have faith in my memory for that.
You'd be surprised what you can.
Yeah,
is true. If you let go of it, I really do recommend it. I find I play way better.
Yeah.
I also find if I'm singing backups, it's hard to look at a chart.
True.
And if I am singing, I feel more connected to the music as well. So that helps me remember where things are.
I feel like I'd enjoy a gig more if I did beat charts. But yeah, charts are definitely, they're like a contentious thing. You should like tread lightly with them for using them on.
Yeah, I wouldn't be using them on stage if I were.
Yeah, if you cannot, and if it's a gig where it's like I want to get in with these people, you should not.
Mm-hmm.
If you want them to be like you're taking them seriously. But once again, there are situations where it's like last minute sub. Like if say for instance I got a call to play with John Mayer tomorrow at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
I would have to get over my ego and be like, I'm going to use charts.
Sure.
And I'm going to do that stupid monitor stand thing.
Yeah.
I'd stay up all night.
Yeah.
But there's only so much that I can get in this stupid fucking brain of mine.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain situations. Yeah, like people are going to understand. If you get called the night before to sub in for somebody, it's like, in that case, I'd probably just be like, yo, like I'm down to the gig. I just might have to bring a couple charts because there's not a lot of time for me to learn these songs. And people are generally quite understanding.
That goes back to the saying yes thing, though, too.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be like, oh, because what I used to do is be like, sorry, I can't help you. I'm sorry.
You know what I mean? Yeah, right.
Do the gig.
No, I would always take the gig if you can. So just in terms of like more process stuff from learning songs, for me, I find it really important, just like you said, to just listen to the songs. I have not found it as helpful to have them on in the car while I'm driving or something, because I don't listen actively when I'm driving. My mind's kind of all over the place. But I have done that, and I do internalize some stuff. But
the best thing to compare it to is like think about like what's a song you always listen to? Like if you had to learn "Take It Easy," you've never learned "Take It Easy" in your life.
Yeah.
And everybody's heard "Take It Easy" or "Don't Stop Believing."
Yeah.
It's like in your mind all of that stuff.
How it already goes.
Because you got a great ear and you can pick it up immediately.
Yeah.
It would be like, I'm pretty much 80%.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But I do find when I sit down to actually learn a song, I try my hardest not to touch my instrument the first listen through.
That's fair. Yeah.
Or maybe I just to figure out what key it's in, so then I can start sort of mapping out chord progressions in my mind just based on what I'm hearing. But listening, because if I just start if I'm like, oh, this is 1-4-5, and I start playing over it, and then I just miss a 1/3 somewhere, or a 4/6, or like a little like some detail stuff like that. And it's like you said, it's like once you decide in your mind this is how the song goes, it can be really difficult to change that stuff after the fact. So I really do try my best to just listen and take it in, soak it in, and then I try to separate the guitar from the vocals. So I'll learn the guitar first.
Okay. Yeah.
And again, this is so hard for me to do because I just want to get it done. I want to do it right the first time, and I don't want to miss anything. But like when I stick to this process, I end up learning things faster.
Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to skip up the chain of being,
and you end up slowing yourself down by doing that.
So learn all the guitar, play through once or twice depending on the difficulty level. If it's just if I'm just chording on acoustic and the song isn't too tough to remember, I'll play through it once or twice on guitar or however many times I need to get comfortable, and then I start working on the vocals. So I'll jump to the chorus, learn the backup part. I usually learn it like the notes on the guitar as well. Just
sure,
especially if it's a harmony that's just kind of angular or something I'm not used, like a cadence I'm not used to hearing or used to singing. I'll learn it on guitar, and I know a lot of guys do that. That's not a unique thing at all. But then that helps me learn that.
In my head, when you do cover gigs where it's like lower resolution with backups, do you leave a lot of that to just like, oh, I'm going to sing along to the song, or is it like, no, I'm going to learn like precisely those weird harmonies? You know what I mean?
It depends on it depends on a few different things. I mean, obviously, like how much time do I have?
That's what I mean. Yeah. Can you do that though? Can you just like, they're like, oh, I want you to sing harps on this, and you're like, you've never done it, and you do a pretty good job?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not like, if I've never heard the song before, like say they're just like they call something I've never heard before at a gig, and they're like, it's A, G, and D, and maybe by the third chorus I can jump on a harmony.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah,
I need to learn that skill.
Well,
so I can replace you.
It comes with time, but it's not going to be the quote unquote right harmony, but it might work. Yeah. And if it's a recording, and there's a lot of times where, like, say there's a female singer and the harmony is above her voice, I'll either drop that an octave or find a different one that maybe isn't even on the record, but I think is going to sound good live.
Yep.
And sort of just use my discretion. Like I always try to aim to do things that I think are going to sound good live.
That's very
translate
take
live.
Liberties in that sense.
Yeah. If it's if like we're saying it's a bar gig where we're not learning everything note for note, and we're kind of just we're trying to get to the finish line and have fun and put on a good show.
A wound on my hand.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, that happened.
Did you get drunk and fall over?
It's the same hand.
Oh.
I don't know. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
But yeah, so I'll maybe make up my own harmony if I think it's gonna sound better for my voice, because there's no sense in me trying to sing a harmony that's like 2 octaves higher than I'm comfortable with. It's going to sound all squirrely and weird, and it's not going to blend. So sometimes I might adjust there. I usually I'll prioritize the chorus. If there's like little hits and stabs in the second verse, I might not catch all those.
Yeah. If it's last minute,
Or if there's oohs somewhere, it's like stuff that's like not gonna. I mean, oohs often don't work that well live.
Yeah,
either.
They really don't.
So
when they work though.
When they work great. I mean, if you got 2 or 3 really strong singers and they can all sort of blend, but I mean that's a rehearsal thing. If we're just getting together and playing, I'm just gonna focus on the main hits in the chorus and make sure I have those down. But the nice thing about backup vocals is you can practice them in the car.
Yep. So, well, car learning is everything. I mentioned this for La La Land. I saw that movie and the dude was learning tunes in the car, and I'm like, this dude gets it. Yeah. He gets my lifestyle and my decisions.
You can't practice guitar while you're driving, though, unfortunately.
They can't stop you, Al.
But yeah, so that's kind of roughly my approach to these different styles of gigs. You want to take a question?
Yeah, I want to take a question, but I have one thing.
Wrap it up, yeah.
I want to talk about how garbage my memory is. I'm gonna give you an example. So, heading down west to the land of the pines. Something my thumb down in North Carolina. Something.
Thumb in my way.
There you go. And something about headlights. That's it. That's all I know. And I know Rock Me Mama, like Wagon Wheel.
Yeah.
Rock Me Mama, Any Way You Feel.
Yeah.
Something.
But have you ever performed that song vocally?
It's come up a lot. You know what I mean? People have been like, you don't know the lyrics to the verse.
Yeah, but why would you know that?
I'm just saying, I've been playing that song for 6 years in bars, not singing the verse.
Yeah.
But that's all I know of any verse, or if there's a bridge. There's no bridge. It's like a chill.
That's like a broken down verse. Yeah.
It's It's rough, man.
And man, I messed up the lyrics on Wagon Wheel a bunch.
Yeah.
There's a lot of words in that song.
Yeah,
It's harder. It's harder than it sounds.
Thanks, Mom.
There's one more practice technique I'll throw out there. When I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable with material, like I know how the songs go, I can play them properly.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have trouble. Once I sort of get over that hump of like, okay, now I know how the songs go, I have trouble staying focused. So my mind will wander,
Sure.
and then
I don't know what to do, but
I'll make mistakes, and then I'll get frustrated because like I know how this goes, but I just can't stay focused because I get restless. I've been at it for a couple of hours, and it's just like whatever. So I'll practice through a set or through songs and stuff while there's like I'm maybe like watching like the Leafs game or
that's great.
like
That's great.
Like with the, obviously with the sound off or whatever, but like watching something like something passive, like not a TV show or something where there's like a plot, but just watching
Game of Thrones.
No, but just watching like
Tyrion.
Yeah, but just watching something like
don't spoil things.
Yeah, don't spoil.
Kill his dad. What?
Such a great ending to such a great show. But yeah, like something like I don't know, a hockey game for me works pretty well because there's nothing really happening. I mean, it's just something to put your attention on, and then sort of what I find that does is, I feel like that starts to activate my subconscious thinking. So now I'm playing the song, kind of without thinking, and it's only when I make a mistake that I'm gonna think about it.
That's fair. That's fair.
And so I just find it helpful for internalizing. And this is also a technique that mix engineers use when they're So what they'll do is they'll get their mix to a point where they think it's done. They'll sit down, they'll listen to it, and they'll open up a magazine or a book or something and start reading while they're listening to their mix. And if something jumps out at them as being weird and off, then it will distract them from the thing that they're reading.
Well, so the thing that I try to get across to all my students, because they're young, and I didn't get this growing up, like your method has so much to do with your results.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds obvious, but really in the way that some people act, or some people, when my students act, or just I act, it's like they don't get that. You know what I mean? It's like, the way you learn things is gonna it could be really inefficient. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, that's what you go to lessons to achieve. That's what you go to school. You're learning how to learn.
Well, just the fact that I can teach someone how to play a G chord properly in a week or two. Well, no, that's not true. Play a G chord properly in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Versus me that took like literally a year of playing before I could play like G to C. Not even good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that that sort of proves the point of like how important the teacher is, and having a teacher is a method of learning. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that's cool. Anyway, sorry, that was my tangent.
No, that's great.
Take it or leave it. Those are my bones.
Let's jump into a question.
Yeah.
Our question today comes from Justin Green. What's up, Justin? Shout out to Justin Green. Thanks for the question. How do you pursue music?
His parents' last names were blue and yellow.
That's good.
That's a good one.
That's real good. Justin has a question. Justin asks, how do you pursue music in today's industry on a budget? Is social media the real answer? It's the real answer. And if so, what are some key points to follow while trying to gain an audience and fan base that stays interested in your work and music? So this sounds like a question coming from somebody who's trying to be an artist, write their own songs, put it out there. Okay, well, there's a lot of different ways to save money. I think now is better than ever.
Yeah.
In terms of doing things on the cheap. If you have some recording experience of your own, then you might be able to make your own records. You may want to go back.
Demos.
Yeah, make your own demos. You may want to go back and check out our episode on recording on a budget.
Yeah, getting gear for recording on a budget.
Yeah.
I feel like even if you don't intend to make your own record, make your own demos.
Yeah.
I mean, you should have a hand in this stuff.
That's true.
Make informed decisions and that you don't get sucked into like all the traps and little extra things for money that you can get sucked into.
Mm-hmm.
So
Totally.
sucking.
Work with people who are on your level. We've talked about this before, but find people you can collaborate with, be it in a songwriting sense, in a producing sense, bandmates. Find people that are on your level. If you're just getting started, find other people that are just getting started. They're going to be way cheaper than people who've been doing this for 10 years and are trying to take your money.
Well, like, yeah, and I feel like, how do you pursue music in today's industry on a budget? It's like you should always pursue any industry on a budget.
That's true.
You know, like especially music, though, because longevity is like what is going to make you succeed. There's no way to be like, I'm going to do this in 3 years and I'm going to be famous.
Yeah. I think the misconception that it can happen overnight is very dangerous, because people will drop thousands and thousands of dollars on their first ever single and wonder why it got 200 views on YouTube and they spent 20 grand. And it's like, because you're just getting started. So treat yourself like somebody who's just getting started. Yes. Learn, be open to learning new things, do a lot of stuff yourself, try to, figure a lot of things out yourself, whatever you can. We made our own website. That was free.
Yep.
We could have paid somebody $500 to do it
before. Yep.
Yeah, but we learned something.
Look at our website. It's great.
It's fine. Yeah.
It's great. It's not fine.
So, I mean, stuff like that, like through that process, you're going to learn new things. Yeah. Social media is free to use. So make yourself an Instagram account.
Yeah.
Make a Facebook, make a whatever. TikTok is the new thing now.
I downloaded that when it came out. I just want to see what it was. I'm trying to keep hip to all the new types of media.
Yeah.
I didn't quite figure it out until I started seeing those dumb videos of kids being dummies.
I can't keep up with this stuff anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, they just make silly little short videos. It's like Vine, but.
Oh, okay.
No.
I remember Vine. Well, I'm probably the worst person to ask about social media. I'm the worst at it. But the key seems to be consistency.
Yeah.
I think consistency is just the key to everything in life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to, if you want to get good at an instrument, play it every day.
Yep.
You want to get good at writing songs, write a lot of songs.
Yep.
You want to get.
And you're going to hit walls for all those things and be like, oh, I haven't, progressed in a while. And it's like, you'll get through those.
Yeah.
You just got to keep going, because if you stop, that's when you lose.
That's right. Yeah. If you want to have a good social media presence, post. I don't know what do they say? You're supposed to post 3 times a week.
I have no idea.
Once a day.
I don't post very often, and I should. So.
I mean, social media is so tricky. It's like being a popular kid in high school. Like, how do you do that? I don't know. I never had the secret to because there's people who can put a post up on social media and say something clever in just the right way, where it just resonates, it just hits, and everybody's like, yeah, I love this. And then there's somebody else trying to make the same point, but they just say it in just not the right way, and their profile picture's a little weird, and then nobody likes it.
A terrible example, and maybe we'll cut this.
Okay.
I was at a party trying to chat up a girl when I was younger in high school.
Sure.
And she was repulsed, almost angry that I was trying to talk to her. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I'll go. Yeah. And then I saw one of my buddies literally just tried to pull a girl's belt off jokingly. And she's like, oh, you're so funny. And I was like, what the hell, man? Instagram.
Yeah, there you go.
Lesson there. You just got to figure out how to work it, baby.
I think being yourself.
Yeah.
Super important.
Don't try to trick people.
Don't try to trick people. We talked about this 2 episodes ago, I think, episode 17. Don't try to trick people. Don't pander for likes and attention and stuff like that. It's just post something when you feel like you have something of value to add, or at least something that can engage your audience. I don't know what your interests might be. Maybe you're into cooking, so you made a sweet pie one day, and you want to take a photo of it.
Your pie. I mean, you're just taking a photo of your pie.
Yeah, photo of your pie.
What's this guy's name? Mr. Green Pie.
Yeah, and
I like that.
This example is going off the rails.
I like it a lot.
But yeah, I mean, you can post stuff that you find interesting, that you might think is engaging to people. I wouldn't get political or do stuff that's divisive to try to get people upset and riled up, I wouldn't bother with
I
any of
feel
that.
like you shouldn't just try to do anything like manipulative.
Mhm,
It's just like content that people would enjoy. It's same with merch. It's
mhm,
the same principle. It's like thing that people would actually enjoy watching or
mhm,
using. I
mhm.
see people who buy merch and it's like it has my name on it. And I'm like, yeah, but I wouldn't fucking wear that. It's
Yeah,
a
right.
garbage shirt.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like you have to have a shirt that's like, wow, that's really cool. And it's like, oh, it has my name on it. Okay, cool, whatever. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
sure, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so I think, consistency,
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
say again, I mean, why don't you try if you're just getting started, why don't you try releasing a demo song on YouTube or on I mean, you could release music to Spotify for $5 or $10 a
yeah,
song,
yeah,
depending on
yeah.
the distributor you go with, or free if you go for like 1
That'd be a
RPM,
good goal too.
which I would,
Yeah.
release a song a month for a year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, true.
like how are we going to build a following with this podcast? We're going to release a show every week.
Yep.
Until we have a following, and then we're going to keep releasing a
Yep.
show every week.
Yep.
And it's like once you have a following, you don't stop working, right? So
Yeah.
you just I think consistency is really key. So maybe think about releasing a demo every month. It doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe you spent $0 on it. Maybe you spent $50 on it. You're
Yeah.
going to learn something while you're making it. You put it out there. A few people are going to like it, not a million,
No.
but those people will be back for your next one, and then your next one, a few more people will like that,
Yeah.
and then all those people will be back for your next one, and then hopefully it snowballs.
I think the biggest thing is how do you pursue music in today's industry on a budget? It's like just hunker down, like realize
Yeah.
what you're getting into. If you're not like, oh yeah, I want to do this for the rest, not for the rest of ever, but I'm willing to spend the time on this and just keep going at it and having fun with it and not
Mhm.
treating it like a sprint and just like draining your
Yeah.
bank and your energy.
Totally.
It's like, just have it so that you're just gonna keep doing music and keep doing social media, keep it fun and engaging for yourself,
Yeah,
and that'll reflect in, your stuff.
it's great advice.
You know,
Yeah, it's on point, man. Yeah, I could have said it any better
Yeah.
myself.
well, so you were saying what are some key points to follow when trying to get an audience and fan base that stays interested in your work and your music? I feel like you have to have consistency.
Yeah.
Stuff keeps going on. Keep releasing music. Keep playing shows, talking about your shows, getting your songs out. Like you have people come to your shows now, and you're going to set up another. We're talking about Al. He had people come to a show, and
Mhm.
he's going to set up another release soon, and
Yeah.
then they'll be like, "Oh, we should go to Al's show again." And maybe some of those people that went to that first show won't come to the second show.
Yeah.
But if you keep doing shows, 5 years from now,
Mhm.
some of those people will come to some of those shows within that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's how it grows. Hopefully,
Yeah.
organically,
Yeah.
over time. So, hopefully, we answered that in a useful way.
Yeah.
I would also just say define some expectations as well,
Yeah.
because maybe music. I mean, pursuing music could mean I have a full-time job, I have a family, I have whatever,
Yeah.
but I have a creative itch. I want to
Yep.
put some songs out there. So define some expectations, define some loose goals. You don't have to have a complete business plan or anything
Yep.
put together, but just define some expectations. And furthermore, if you are looking to drop everything and pursue music full time, really make sure that you have some expectations that are realistic.
Yes.
Because
Timeframe-wise.
let me tell you, this crime doesn't pay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, crime would be very helpful for our career. I'd love to just
Crime
sell
pays
some
way-
drugs.
Crime pays way better than
Yeah.
music.
Yeah. It's one of those things where like, yeah, it's
It takes a long time. I mean, Mike said it best. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the process. Take in as much as you can. Learn as much as you can, and just know that a successful career takes a long time to build, and is in of itself a long career. A successful career is a long one.
Well,
So,
and that's the thing. Like, there's artists that it's like, oh, he's 45 and he's finally doing his own thing and making money and all that stuff. And it's
Mhm.
like, you don't have to have success in the like Led Zeppelin way, where it's like I got signed to a label and I'm 25 and just
Yeah.
banging a bunch of people and doing a bunch of drugs and making a bunch of money, but playing 340 shows a year.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do that.
No. The success is defined by how
But you could.
you want to define it. Yeah. Yeah.
Just work hard.
And there's the saying like when I had Genevieve on the show last week, she was saying like an overnight success is 10 years in the making.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's nothing happens fast, but I think we both agree that consistency is key.
Mr. Justin Pies.
So thanks for your question, Justin. Justin Green. Yeah. Send me one of those pies you're making, man. That sounds
sweet
good.
pie. I like sweet pies. I like savory pies too.
We're gonna wrap it up here because I gotta go to sleep.
Yeah.
I got responsibilities.
I'm gonna go on another rant about pies and the things we put in them.
We thank you as ever for joining us
Pumpkin pie.
On this 19th episode of the Music Guy Podcast. You can contact us at musicguypodcast@gmail.com. Our website, musicguypodcast.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And you can find us live streaming our episodes on YouTube on Tuesday nights or Wednesday mornings. I'm Alro Music on Instagram. Mike is
Bruno the Meek.
And,
on Instagram.
and we're going to go make pies. So see you guys next week. Oh.